Hi from Vietnam. My name is John Keogh, and welcome to another 10 by 10 series. In this series, I'll talk to 10 executives for 10 minutes on digital transformation with a focus on developing countries. Now, today, instead of having one executive, I have two. I have Thijs Boer and Cees van Elst, two Dutchmen who are out and about and doing some great work around the world. Gentlemen, the time goes very, very quickly. So in the first minute, can you give us a little bit of overview on who you are and your company, starting with you, Cees?
Yeah, Kees van Elst from Keogh Assurance. We deliver real-time food safety compliance all over the world to comply with quality standards, legislation, and we offer a software solution for that, so you don't have to travel the whole world around with your advisors.
Wonderful. Thijs?
Great. My name is Thijs Boer. I'm the owner of Holland Fair Foods. We started 7 years ago, and we make the best crisps in the world from our potato sourced in the north of Rwanda. And therefore, we supply the whole region from Kinshasa and Congo up to Nairobi in Kenya. And we work closely together with Keogh Assurance to improve the food safety for companies in this region.
Wonderful. That sounds great. So, Thijs, let me start with you. So how do you deploy technologies? How do you do that digital transformation in developing countries?
Yeah, so first of all, we living in a region where there's still a big informal economy. So a lot of things are going by cash. And if you want to improve your company, you want to have more data to understand better how your company is growing, how you can expand, but also how you can implement innovations. So this is what we do in our financial systems, but also what is very important for us as a food company working together with over 1,000 smaller farmers. It's very important to understand actually how these processes are going. And therefore, we have a team of around 70 people who try to collect data and also work directly in operations. And one of the solutions is EMIS from Keogh Assurance to improve our food safety.
Gotcha. So, Cees, do you want to take over from there? How difficult is it, or how easy is it to deploy technologies in the developing countries?
After the whole COVID event, we realized that the companies in East Holland, where you service them, you can also service Africa. So because of that, we asked Thijs to work together to test if the technology was fit for that. And the most important thing is when you really deliver an infrastructure to the factory, your own server, your own intranet, also software systems that do work without internet connection, and then you really have a robust solution, I think, for every emerging country.
Gotcha. And Thijs, from your perspective as a food company, when you're working with all of those different farmers, do you provide access to the technology and training and all that capacity building?
Yeah, so we try to make it as simple as possible so that we can connect the dots. Most of the digital solutions are still, we are doing it from in-house to the management of it, and then we go on the field, and then sometimes we collect the data together with these farmers. Sometimes, most of the time we are collecting it ourselves for example, to understand where it's coming from which field, etc. So most of the things, the solutions we do ourselves. We don't yet give most of the solutions to our suppliers.
Gotcha. So, Cees, on your side, when you're actually dealing with suppliers on the ground, or you're doing audits on the ground, what are you seeing, or what are you experiencing with the usage of technology in developing countries? Are some doing it better than others?
Now, the most important thing is really also to monitor how the usage is going. So, for example, when the people in the factory of Thijs are not doing their hygiene checks, for example, we get a message, and we can just get into the system and ask them, hey guys, what is happening? Hey, is the IT not working? Or are you not doing the things you are supposed to do? And then you have a short, how can you say, short reaction time. And then you can improve together, and then you can keep your solution working. But when you leave it alone, when you don't have, when you're not in touch for 3 months, I think then the case can be that nothing is used at all anymore, and things are again on paper. So the learnings we have is that we have really every 2 weeks we have a meeting together by Zoom, asking how is it going, how do we improve, and it takes a longer time than an implementation in Holland, for example. But at the end, you get the same result, and you get the same buy-in of the people working with your systems.
Gotcha. And the process is just a little bit different. Thijs, you mentioned that you don't give your suppliers access to the system, that you do most of the data collection yourself. Do you ever envision a time in the future where the suppliers, even small farmers, will be using mobile apps to supply data into your platform?
Yes, of course, that will be very interesting. Also, because we have to work with such a big number of farmers. Well, when you work in the Netherlands, for example, maybe with only like 10 farmers, we need to work with 1,000 farmers to get the same results. So this is also why these technologies are actually key on the long term, because of to become more cost effective. So of course, we really want that also our suppliers will be able in the future to work with the same systems. To make it more efficient as well.
Gotcha.
Processes.
Are there any particular hurdles in the way stopping that, or is it just a natural process? In other words, that you coach them, you bring them up to speed with the technology, what you're trying to achieve, and then is there a natural progression in the future, or is this all new for your company and for the farmers as well?
Now, the first thing, what is actually a hurdle, is the access to the hardware to use the software. So if they don't already have the hardware, then you cannot even think about implementing it.
Gotcha.
So many people, they just use the simple phones where you can only have text messages, for example. But that's what we use now to inform farmers about, is there a rain coming? Then we text them, okay, there's a heavy rain coming, please be prepared. You cannot harvest today, or you should harvest tomorrow, whatever. So this is simple technology. So the hardware and software is very much connected. And also for ourselves, we also need to be ready to offer them, the farmers, the hardware. So that is also not yet, we are not yet at that stage that we are able to do it.
Gotcha. I would summarize that up, Thijs, by saying that keeping it simple and working with the capabilities that's on the ground. I think you mentioned not having the hardware, maybe the infrastructure as well, and they don't have the smartphones. So starting off with simple text messaging, I think, is a natural way to start, and clever strategy to notify them as well about the weather patterns and when to harvest or not to harvest. So that's very important. Cees, what are you seeing? Are you seeing an evolution? You guys work in Africa, of course, extensively, but you also work in different countries in Asia. Does one country stand out as giving some leadership, adopting the technology much quicker?
The most important thing is how is a country organized? Which people are already working with IT, which people are already exporting, and they can be the examples how your technology can work. But the nicest thing is what happens with Thijs, for example, is that in the past it was very it cost a lot of money to get certified and to stay certified for the quality standards that are needed for food export. And because of technology, you can do the advice from home. And we don't have to travel to Kigali every time to be together and to have the foods on the ground. So I think the digital transformation is important, that you use IT, but because of that, all the support systems can be different in a way that companies can even export easier because they don't have all the costs that are now in the value chain, prohibiting them to do the things they would like to do.
Gotcha. We got about a minute left. Thijs, in 30 seconds, you're a food company. What guidance would you give to other food companies, not to your competitors, of course, but in general with deploying technology overseas in developing countries like across the African continent and so on? Any top tips?
Yeah, so maybe exactly what we're doing with Q Assurance, what Kees is saying, the access to information is very important. And usually in this kind of countries, you have to pay 2 times more than you have to pay in the developed, like in the Western world. So yeah, please see this as an opportunity. Not only think that, don't only think that digital things will make things more efficient, but it will also save you a lot of money. And sometimes you can be even in real time. You can even be more up to date than than companies in the Western world who still do not even notice that innovations. So I think that's very key. So yeah, make sure you get access to this information and on a cheaper way, and try to develop and implement this in your own company.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Thijs. Kees, over to you for 30 seconds. Food safety. What guidance would you give your fellow workers in that area, companies in that area, on how to approach digital transformation with regard to food safety?
Now, I think the most important thing is really to start with IT systems that are integrated with food safety, so you can really work on online monitoring, online coaching, food factories, and stop with all those workshops that are just only costing a lot of money, and a lot of those workshops are only used because people would like to travel. But where you really would like to help Africa, then enable them in the value chain to sell their products directly to Europe, and not all those import-export companies doubling the price every time.
Yeah, very important point there to end with. So folks, there you go. That very last point is talking about the middleman, and we talk about disintermediation as part of the digital transformation journey. You know, they're taking out that middleman, pushing more money back up to the farmers, and I think that's very, very important. Thijs, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Kees, thank you also very much for sharing your wisdom. The time goes very quick. We're at about 12 minutes right now. And if anyone wants to get in touch with both Kees or Thijs, their contact details will be under the video. So thank you all very much.
John, thank you very much.
Thank you.